Hi, they call me Daddy, but I'm actually Matt Rossa from Exist.
And they call me also Daddy, but I'm Max Phelps is my name, also from Exist, the same band. So we're gonna be showing off some of our shit today. So I guess if Matt wants to proceed.
Sure. So this is my main guy right now, actually, by way of it's the only instrument I can fully play because I'm healing up from some hand pains. I love this guy. It's made of alder, so it's really light. I think it's alder at least. It's definitely really light. I actually have 8-gauge strings that I set up all my instruments a really particular way on. The strings are like really close to the neck, so I don't have to press a whole lot. Maple neck. I have dropped this guitar on tour and at home probably, I'd have to count on both hands at this point, and there's hardly any nicks or anything on it. It's a John Page classic. This guy is awesome. If I understand correctly, he used to work in the custom shop at Fender and went on his own and started making basically custom shop guitars for like $1,300, $1,500. I love this thing. Sounds great. Noiseless humbuckers. One tone knob, one volume knob, three-way selector. With Exist, yeah, everything's all the way up, although I do play with the volume knob quite a bit, honestly, for swells or dynamics or whatever I'm doing. I use these all the time depending on the situation, but Exist, yeah, tone is all the way up. And then usually the neck, but it depends. Sometimes I'll go to the middle. Rarely will I go to the actual neck pickup for this band. Locking tuners. So... and they don't really move on me, which is nice. I've had those kicked around and a string break before. I don't honestly remember what these bridges are called, which is hilarious because I've been fixing these up for like over a year now. But it's really steady. This thing never moves. I've had those problems with guitars where it's like I take it out and the neck starts shifting back or whatever on me, or the screws start moving because the hot and cold makes the wood expand or contract or whatever. Really big bolts in that. I like that a lot too. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. It reminds me a lot of a Fender, but does not sound like one. It's a C-shaped neck, which is really comfortable for me, and really kind of flat fingerboard, 12 inches. Tuning is E, or sometimes we'll take this guy and detune it a half step down to E flat, but maintaining standard for the rest of them. I pretty much never go past that otherwise anyway. So pretty straightforward. We just have been doing that for years, and I think because maybe laziness, because we all teach or whatever, or play other gigs, we never really detune. But we do set, we can get into this later, but the Kempers will put like octaves and stuff like on that, or octave pedal when we're recording, so that we can get a little bit of a heavier sound out of it.
So this is a Steinberger Zt3. I've beat the shit out of it. I've been playing it for like probably 7 or 8 years. I bought this guitar from Paul Masvidal from Cynic, who lent it to me, and I loved it. I just played it a lot, and it just ended up being a thing that I've been using since then. So yeah, it's got a maple body, graphite neck. It's really quick to restring. It's got this trans trem on it. I don't really use the trans trem feature ever. Hypothetically, you can switch it to actually change tunings on the fly, but it's not really something I get involved with too much. But it stays in tune wonderfully. It's, as you can see, like the body's it's kind of faded over the years just from, I guess, use and exposure. So yeah. So recording, I do everything. But live, I tend to just keep it on the bridge right now. It's got these coil taps, so they're split right now. And actually, I'm sort of limited right now. There's a grounding issue, so I've been keeping them split. Mostly for that reason. I'd probably switch them around more if not, so I've got to get that looked into. But yeah, there's I don't know, there's all sorts of stuff that I've just beat the crap out of. There used to be like there's for practicing, you can actually, it's like a leg rest built on it, but it's come off. I haven't repaired it. I just usually practice with a strap anyway, and sometimes even standing. So I guess yeah, that's that. I'm hard on my stuff. I've never been like a big gear guy, so I've sort of been the kind of person that acclimates more to like what I'm using, and I've just never been the kind of person to salivate over gear, probably to a fault because I teach music and, you know, it's like my life, but, you know, and I do care about having good tone and everything, but it's just, I don't know, I feel like I'm always on the run with just trying to write music and everything, so it's never, Matt's like way better than me on that.
So this is my backup, John Page. I can kind of play this. I had to spend months retraining to be able to do it. But I love this guy. This is actually a one of a kind. It's not that different from the other John Page, but it is an SSS setup. But these are actually one of a kind Lindy Fralin custom rail pickups. So these were voiced, and this was actually traded to me by our good friend Maurice Arenas. He's a great teacher, a great guitar player, and this is a really special guitar, which this is basically a humbucker in that position, the way it's actually set up. So it's pretty heavy. It's a deceiving guitar. You'd think it's not made for metal, but it's pretty awesome. The only real difference between them is actually, aside from not having locks on them, it's a maple fingerboard as opposed to a rosewood. And that actually is the difference for me. I don't know what it is, but rosewood is way more comfortable. So I'm getting there with this guy. But yeah, I love this guy. And I had to use it once, and I was really happy.
I'm playing through an Axe-Fx 2. It's, as far as like the profiles we're using live, I try to keep it pretty simple. It's really just 4 sounds I use. In the studio, we go ham with that stuff. And that's actually something that we usually sit down and work together, and we use, I guess, both profilers. He uses a Kemper, and depending on what we're doing, we may use one or the other. There's no consistency to that in the studio, but live, yeah, so I use the Axe-Fx 4 sounds just to keep it as simple as possible. I do all my patch changes manually since we're not really on the grid live. So yeah, it's just a dirty tone, like a basic rhythm tone, a lead tone, which is pretty similar, just with some delay and verb added and boosted, a clean tone, which is kind of a compressed chorusy sound, and then a swell sound that I use for some of the more effectsy stuff. And we have a keyboard player that holds a lot of that stuff down too, so I feel like we get a pretty, even just keeping it simple like that, we get a pretty good diverse way to reorchestrate the songs for our live setting. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I use a Behringer like MIDI controller, which is relatively newer to me. I was using another one before, Bit the Dust. And then we run everything DI for the shows, but we use cabs on stage just for stage volume. I've played in bands before where there were no cabs, it was just the DI thing, and it always seems like it's a little empty on stage, and maybe for people in the front. So we like to have the cabs on stage. So I have a Matrix power amp, GT800X, which I guess is a power amp that's kind of designed for those profilers like Axe-Fx and Kemper, and that's what I play the Axe through. But it's not, you know, cab's not mic'd.
I have a 2x12 cab that I run through and just put it together, running the Kemper through. I put 2 Celestion Heritage G12M, G12H speakers in that I think really balance out a clear sound, and they're really loud. It's an open back, and then I run the Kemper through that, which, like Max said, it's not mic'd up, it's all DI'd, so basically that's my monitoring, and I usually can rely on that pretty well for hearing myself against everybody else, and everybody in the front row can kind of hear all that blast of sound. And then the Kemper, my frame of reference for getting all those sounds, which I do honestly like, is just my home rig, which is an old tube amp and pedals, kind of like what Weber has set up. So I just try and get something as close to that as I possibly can. So I think what I have modeled on there, and I had some friends bring me some sounds and stuff because I just wanted to get it better and better. So Hughes and Kettner, I think, but I can't remember the model name. I think it's the Statesman or something. I'm honestly not sure what it's called. I think I have a diesel VH4 setting as a secondary as well. So those are kind of what I use now, depending on the guitar. When we're recording, I'll do one guitar with one guitar with the other, and that way they're different enough where they stand out. And then I actually use the Hughes and Kettner clean as well. So I don't know what it is, but those just turned out well for what I'm looking for. So I think I have the same settings as Max, just like a rhythm, a lead, sort of a clean, and then basically what I'll do is per song, there's so many different layers that our keyboard player Jordan and I have to cover between leads or whatever, or sound effects, that I'll just program each sort of song differently with different layers of phasing or chorus or whatever needs to be there, or delay, and just group them together based on that. And the least amount of tapping I can do, but still kind of being able to pick and choose on the fly, I think that's kind of fun. So that's pretty much what I'm running.
So yeah, thanks for letting us plug our gear today. We appreciate it. As far as plugs, I guess we have a new album that will be released hopefully as soon as July. Definitely this year, it's done. So social media stuff, we're exist.bandcamp.com, I think. I should probably check that. Let's check. I'm looking at it right now to make sure I don't fuck it up. It's exist band, I guess underscores. Are those called underscores? Okay. Exist underscore band underscore official. That's our Instagram. And then Facebook is just facebook.com/exist. So yeah, new album coming at you sometime this year. We're excited about it. It's we think it's good. Hopefully you'll think it's good too.
Do we think it's good?
I do. Matt doesn't. Matt thinks it sucks. But listen to it anyway. It's good for you.